How's it going, everybody? Flo here. Thanks for clicking on the video and checking out the channel. Unless you live under a rock, you probably noticed this last week that DICE unveiled Battlefield 6. And boy oh boy, does it look absolutely fantastic in the return to form Battlefield fans have been asking for many, many years. I truly think this year's Battlefield game has the chance to dethrone Call of Duty, not in terms of sales. Call of Duty will always sell insane numbers, but in terms of community sentiment and the overall reception and the temperature towards the Battlefield franchise. Just going over some of the things that we saw right off the rip about the reveal event, this was basically a complete return to the roots of Battlefield. No more specialists, no more 128 players, no more barren open maps. We've gone back to 64 players, traditional class system, on traditional solid-looking maps. From everything we've heard, we've got the gritty, grounded tone and vibe that 2042 was just completely missing. The lore of 2042 was absolute doomer-type stuff, and then the gameplay and the overall voice lines and everything was totally different. I mean, there was a huge clash there, but this is a return. DICE, you can totally tell, sat down at the drawing board post-2042. I don't know how long after the disaster that they sat down for this, but they said, you know what, we need to go back and listen to the players. We need to return to the roots of Battlefield. We cannot afford another screw up. That looks like exactly what happened here. I think DICE and EA know after two consecutive poor Battlefield launches with the debacle and the PR nightmare of Battlefield 5, don't like it, don't buy it, and just the overall travesty of Battlefield 2042, I think they understand we can't afford to have another bomb here. We need to make a great game that returns to the roots of Battlefield, that delivers the experience that the players want, that is not trying to be something Battlefield isn't. Everything that we've seen so far looks like they are doing it. Vince Zampella and the team in Battlefield Studios seriously looks like they've done a bang-up job at creating a Battlefield experience that is a spiritual successor to Battlefield 3 and 4, and that is so important because those are basically considered the golden age Battlefield games. As much as we all hate 2042, I think we honestly owe it a little bit of a thanks for being as bad as it was, because if we just got another 5 or 6 out of 10 Battlefield game that didn't do anything egregiously horrible but wasn't great at the same time, we would have gotten another one of those for Battlefield 6. However, thanks to 2042 being so horrible, DICE had to go back to the drawing board, backs against the wall, and create a game that people actually want, that was the Battlefield game that the Battlefield fans expected. So, I guess, thanks 2042. And as you've noticed, I've decided not to put any Battlefield 2042 footage in the background because the tonal whiplash between Battlefield 6 and Battlefield 2042's gameplay and overall aesthetic is enough to give you a broken neck. That's how insanely different these two games are, side by side. I can't do that to you guys. I can't give you footage from a great Battlefield game, what looks like a great Battlefield game in BF6, and then turn around and show you arguably the worst Battlefield game in franchise history forever and always, because I would be responsible for a lot of injuries. Anyways, back to the main point, enough of making fun of 2042, but it's really hard to kind of pick apart the individual elements that make the BF6 reveal so great, but I think the first place I want to start is just on the overall aesthetic. You can tell DICE had a very clear focus on creating that modern warfare, modern era combat visual identity for Battlefield 6 that carries through to everything from the cosmetics that we've seen so far, including the ones in the Phantom Edition of Battlefield 6, to the vehicles, to the environments, to the maps, and there is just a huge amount of attention to detail in these maps. I mean, just looking through some footage of Battlefield 6 from the gameplay, and it's like they really went in and made these maps feel lived in, feel believable, which is a huge stark contrast to Battlefield 2042's that just are basically empty open maps that feel sterile, that feel void of any amount of life. I mean, you just take a look at any of the maps in Cairo or Gibraltar, Tajikistan, New York City, and these maps, I mean, all of the shops have labels on them, they have furniture inside them, the structure makes sense. It just really looks like they sat down and paid attention to the small details. And that's a huge thing for Battlefield games, and just for FPS games. Having a map that actually has an identity, that fits a theme and a tone, and that has attention to detail paid to all the little things, elevates the experience from just being a map that you hop in and shoot other dudes on to a map that is actually visually interesting, fits the theme, and you want to play on it because it looks so good and it plays so well. A few of the other elements that stood out to me, first thing off the rip, movement. The movement looks really, really solid overall. I think that it is a good blend of modern movement, modern FPS movement, and then your traditional Battlefield movement. I know some people were trying to get the slide removed and complaining about this slide. First thing to mention is that it's been confirmed that this slide in the reveal event is actually bugged. It's a physics bug, which is causing people to slide further or faster than intended. I'm assuming that will either be fixed by the open beta coming up this week or at the very latest by launch. But the slide itself in the non-bugged build of Battlefield 6, everyone that's played it, even people, not content creators, nobody associated with EA, has said that it's absolutely perfect. And pretty much everybody, even playing the game at the reveal event or people that played labs, have been saying it's great. The movement feels good. It feels fluid. It feels like there's enough there to have some of a skill gap, but not enough to be like a movement shooter, which is perfect. That's exactly what Battlefield should be. So movement to me looks absolutely fantastic, and everything that I've seen kind of confirms that. Everybody is loving how the movement is as far as the speed, the fluidity, the animations. It's just, of course, some people don't want the slide. Some people love the slide. I'm in the camp personally of liking the slide quite a bit. I think that it is necessary in a Battlefield game. I don't think it needs to be insane like a, super Apex Legends or Call of Duty style slide, but it definitely needs to be in there because it provides another movement mechanic that allows you to get better at the game, and it provides a bit of a skill gap for those players that want to take the time to learn how to use it effectively in offensive and defensive situations. But again, from everything I've seen, we'll see how it plays on Thursday this week, but everything I've seen, movement looks great, exactly what I wanted. The gunplay, however, is a little bit controversial. I still think it looks really good, but I do see some areas of concern with the amount of recoil that some of the weapons have. And this honestly could just be part of the fact that most of the people at the reveal event that were playing the game are good FPS players and know how to control recoil really, really well. So this may not even be an issue at the end of the day. But from what I've seen, if the recoil is as easy to control, there's not a ton of recoil on the weapons when the game comes out, I could see the gunplay feeling a lot more laser beamy. I think that we would do well to have more of a burst fire type of gunplay system like Battlefield 3 or 4 that was very reliant on that. No, just holding down left mouse button and just hosing people down. But as far as the actual gunplay outside of recoil, I think it looks really punchy. It looks really solid. All of the weapons I've seen in different gameplays look like they're distinct and unique enough to have their own each individual identity. It doesn't look like ARs feel like SMGs or LMGs feel like SMGs or anything. It looks like everything has its own unique feel, and that's exactly what Battlefield needs as a game that has a ton of different weapons, a ton of different engagement distances. Having guns that are great at one, bad at the other, we need a lot of that, right? We need a lot of variety, and from everything I've seen, the gunplay looks like it checks that box as well. Maps were another huge area that I was paying close attention to in Battlefield 6 and the reveal, and again, haven't played the maps, but from everything we've seen, these look like a huge step up over Battlefield 2042's maps. We saw maps set in Cairo, Gibraltar, New York City, and Tajikistan in the reveal event, and all of the maps that we saw looked really, really solid. It doesn't look like they have the same issues at all as the maps in 2042. No more, blank empty spaces, no more Windows XP wallpaper as a map in the game. It looks like they actually sat down and made a map that looks, feels, and plays like Battlefield. There are a lot of content creators that said they believe that Siege of Cairo is going to be a fan favorite map that we're going to see talked about for a long, long time, because it does harken back to that old Battlefield style of just that nice, tight, combined arms experience, which I'm really excited to get my hands on that map for sure. But all of them overall look like they do not suffer from the same issues as 2042, and that's only a good thing going into the future for the game. And if that's how the rest of the maps are going to be designed for the game, I think we're going to be eating very well with Battlefield 6 throughout its life cycle. And on top of the maps being good, we're getting 9 maps out of the gate, and that's fantastic. 2042 gave us 7, and I know 9 is not the most we've ever gotten at launch in Battlefield history, but 9 maps, especially if they're good maps, is enough, and it's definitely something that I would say I'm happy with. As I watched the reveal event, when they said 9 maps at launch, I put both my fists up in the air. I was like, heck yeah, this is exactly what we need, is 9 solid, high-quality maps. And that's only just going to grow, hopefully, by 2 maps a season. I hope, fingers crossed, because that would be fantastic. But 9 at launch, That's plenty for me. I think it's great, and I hope that they all are good so that we don't end up in a situation where 3 or 4 are good out of 9. I hope that, 9 out of 9 are good, but at the least like 7 out of 9 are really good so that we have plenty to play on until we start getting seasonal content put into the game. And obviously the community is super excited about Battlefield 6 as a whole. I'd say like probably 80 to 90% of the community is actually really excited for this game, which is something I have not seen in like a decade or more about Battlefield. It goes to show what happens when a developer listens to the community that they're building the game for. When you listen to what the community wants, what they're asking for, and you deliver that experience, you tend to have a lot more positive sentiment and probably a lot more sales to go along with it. I know for a fact that if DICE didn't listen to the community like they did, like they look like they've been doing with Battlefield 6, there is no way that people would be as excited for this as they are. But this really looks like the Battlefield game we've been waiting 10 plus years to get. And so it makes sense the community's excited, and it all comes down to DICE listening to the community, implementing the feedback that makes sense to implement into the game, make the changes that have been suggested, tweak and refine as time goes on, and it's going to show it, I think. I think we'll see this be the most successful Battlefield game of all time as far as sales go, and I think it's well deserved if they can put out a quality product. Obviously, I'm very excited for this game, no question at all. This is probably the one FPS game I've been most excited for in the last 6 or 7 years, by far. Now, with the beta being this Thursday, could my general feelings and sentiment toward the game go down? Absolutely. If Battlefield 6 turns out to be a huge disappointment, yeah, I will probably look like a fool for making this video. However, based off everything we've seen and heard, based on all of the things that content creators have said, I think this game is going to be great. I don't believe we'll be disappointed, and I think a lot of people will be much more inclined to pre-order. Not that I'm necessarily condoning that, but I think a lot more people will be inclined to pre-order after seeing that this game is literally nothing like Battlefield 2042 in any way. So with that said, those are my thoughts on the Battlefield 6 reveal. Super excited. Can't wait to give it a shot in the beta coming up. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. You looking forward to Battlefield 6 or not? Are you planning on pre-ordering? Anyways, thank you for watching. Be sure to smash the like button if you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, leave a dislike. And feel free to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all things Battlefield 6. I'll catch you in the next one.